Leatherface. I'm not gonna let him kill you.
Fate decided.
Craving something scary.
What's up, guys? I like that. All right, that's like a remix. All right.
It was like echoing.
Someone's phone was on. Dun,
Probably.
dun, dun,
Dun, dun, dun, dun, dun. All right, guys, here we are on Fridays, Lethal Collective time, and we are going to be talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. Woo! All right. Guys.
Oh, yeah.
Look, man, I'm hyped up. Jake, I know you're hyped up. Who would have thought? Now, I just want to throw this out here, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong. We're going to start with non-spoiler thoughts, at least for a few minutes. And then we will let you guys know when we get into spoilers. So we will get into some spoilers, but we will give you guys a warning. All right. And hey to everyone in the chat. We got a couple people here. We got Bobby, Wayne, Carrie, Liv. All right. Nice
What's
to see you
going
guys.
on, everyone?
Hey.
Appreciate y'all being here.
Absolutely. Emma, NT. All right. Austin. What's up? What's up? All right, guys.
How are we doing? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's start this thing off, man. Jake, we'll just go clockwise. Jake, I'll have you start it off. What are some of your non-spoiler thoughts on what you witnessed with this Netflix thing?
I liked it overall. I think it was a pretty fun film. It's a slasher movie at its core, without spoiling anything, of course. It's not the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie I wanted, but I'll take it. You know what I mean? Like I think it was really good for what it is. I would love a film that kind of harkens back to that original movie of kind of being a psychological thriller once again, more than a slasher, but this was still a really fun time with some super disturbing kills and some really fun stuff throughout. So I really enjoyed it without spoiling anything. Once again, didn't love the ending that much. But the 80% of this movie is pretty great though, and very enjoyable. So
All right. How about you, Fate?
Yeah, so similar sentiment. It was better than I thought it would be, if I'm being honest, especially with everything that was going on behind the scenes and just the mess and Netflix kind of taking it over and having to sort of bandage it together. Given the fact that they did that, I think it was a successful movie. I thought it was one of the better ones in the franchise, because we've had some bad ones. So
Yes.
I mean, it's up there as one of the better ones for sure, in my opinion. I did enjoy it. The ending, I'm with you. Like it was underwhelming. I thought it was a nice paced movie. I thought it had some pretty good build up, had some meta moments, some good moments overall. And then we got to the end scene, and I was really underwhelmed. I was like I wish you would have given us a little more to go off of. But all in all, yeah, I did. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a well done film. I'll definitely watch it again, so I can kind of, hopefully there's some stuff that maybe I missed, Easter eggs, things like that, because there were a couple things throughout this film that I thought were interesting. So hopefully second time around, like I'll end up being like, yeah, this was great, but just a little underwhelming. What about you, Craven?
Yeah, I watched it as well. I think I watched it a little bit after you guys. I was getting ready to push play, and I'm like, Killjoy Jake's got review up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just now getting ready to watch this thing. I mean, you guys been up all night. But yeah, I watched it a little bit earlier. I overall liked the movie. Okay, I was a little concerned going into this film for the Belgian Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah,
and I was just like, come on, man. I'm a native Texan, so my standards are high when it comes to these things. So I was pleased to say that I thought it was a pretty decent little movie. Yeah. It was a fun movie, and I thought the kills were great, man. I honestly gave it like an A for kills in this movie, without getting specifics, which we'll do later. And the Sandy character, obviously the original actress is no longer with us, but the Sandy character was cool. I don't know that I'm very pleased with how it all went down with Sandy. right?
You
There
mean
she
Sally?
is. I'm
Sally.
Sally, guys. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. I meant
Yeah.
Sally. Sandy's on my mind from somebody else right now, so that just kind of creeped in. Sally. Excuse me, guys. All you diehards, don't go crazy on me in the chat. Yes, you know who I'm talking about. But I was glad to see her back. I thought it was really cool. That's one of the things I was looking most forward to was them bringing her, incorporating her back. And I thought, what a cool element that you're going to have these new people that are going to be slaughter bait, and then you're going to have Sally coming back, which I was really anxious to see how her arc was going to finish in the movie.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that later. I do have more to say on that. But I watched it with headphones too, Carrie, by the way, and I enjoyed it with the headphones. But you do hear a lot of little nuances that you may miss. But overall, the kills, I was most happy with the kills, and
Yes.
that was my number one thing of the movie to me. And we're gonna get to the bus scene later because the bus scene, no pun intended, but yeah, it really is. We're gonna have to park the bus later,
Right.
and dig into that. So
Yeah,
anyway,
absolutely.
that's my overall thoughts are it's a good slasher movie, good kills. It didn't bore me, and I thought it was not one of those movies where you're like, oh come on, man, this looks horrible. I thought the visuals were done really well, the effects were done good. So.
Well, it's actually before I say my part, I wanted to just say happy birthday to Jessica.
Happy birthday,
Hey,
Jessica.
happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Me
you
and
for
Fate
hanging-
are on the same
hanging out.
wavelength today.
We
We've
are.
said the same
We're
thing
just, we're one
twice.
mind. We are. We're
Yeah.
just two peas in a pod.
Something like that.
But when I watched it, I was definitely very nervous about this film, and I watched it, and I had to do a non-spoiler reaction after it, and I just had a smile on my face. I think to me that was the bottom line is I watched this movie and I had a smile on my face because they did a lot of good things. The kills were great. There was a lot of gore. The practical effects were very good. That to me really means a lot because we've seen a lot of horror movies, in recent years really veer very, very much to the CGI side of things. But the practical in this film was actually very good, especially one particular scene where let's just say a person's smile was widened quite a bit. I also want to say that Leatherface looked really good in this film. There was a lot of cinematic, there was nice moments in the shots and the angles. I mean, he looked as good in this movie as he has in at least the last couple of sequels, and for this franchise, it's had a lot of ups and downs. And I definitely think this was a good entry, and it didn't bore me at all. And I want to watch it again. That tells me everything I need to know because the last few entries were movies that didn't really do much for me. So considering what they dealt with the production of this film, and really nobody gave this thing a chance. I mean, nobody really gave it a chance. Even we were all nervous and cautious. To me, it's a victory. It's a victory.
Yeah.
It was a very, very enjoyable film. If you're a fan of slashers or gore, if you're a fan of TCM, although, like you said, Jake, this isn't really that gritty, grimy, documentary type of vibe that Tobe Hooper had. But then again, you're not going to do better than that. So, they kind of carved their own niche, and I think it was a pretty good effort.
You're right. And something that I actually got a comment today on one of my videos about was they made Leatherface into a Michael Myers, a Jason Voorhees with the sequels. And I responded, they were like, why did they do that to him in this new movie? And I'm like, well, I mean, that's kind of what they've been doing with Leatherface since the first sequel back in 86. I personally, for me, it's still good. It's still cool stuff. I'm enjoying it a lot, but I've always wanted to see a sequel to TCM that's much more closer to the original. Goes back to that art house feel, or that grimy, this looks like a snuff film kind of vibe, Yeah. But I'm not complaining about this either because this is still a great movie. I still have I had a lot of fun with it, and it's so bloody. It's so fast paced too. It's only 82 minutes. It goes by like that.
Yeah, and it's something we talked about though, even on the last collective. I would rather be a short movie and actually get the points across, which I thought it was. I thought it was a short movie, but it was well done for being a short movie.
Yes, I agree.
It felt like the right time.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a very modern version of the classic. Like if like this is like what we got here, I felt was like what it would have been if we saw it, 79 now. I think that would have this was very it was very traditional. It had a lot of nostalgia in it. It was kind of like a Halloween ripoff in many ways, especially towards the end scene. There was some really serious, like I was like, okay, so we're just blatantly ripping off Halloween here. But overall, I thought it was pretty interesting, and I enjoy fast-paced movies.
I will say one thing that was very surprising, and we're not at spoilers yet, so this is still non-spoiler, but it had especially one, but maybe two characters that usually in these types of movies you will hate, and you're supposed to hate them, and you're just waiting for them to die. I liked them both, especially the particular one I'm talking about. I could not believe I was actually rooting for this character. I didn't want him to die, and even though he was a little gruff and around the edges, I actually enjoyed his character. Now, usually in a movie, especially in a horror movie, you've got those characters that are just assholes to be assholes. But this movie, just to give it some credit, it kind of had some arcs going on that I did not expect. And I cared about the main characters, the sisters. So again, hey, bravo.
Question: did you guys all watch the scene post credits?
The post credit scene.
Yeah.
So when you guys were talking about earlier the ending, which ending were
Talking
you
about
not happy
Act 3.
with?
Talk about Act 3.
Okay, you're not talking about the post credit.
I'm talking about the entire ending, not the post credit scene. Talk about the actual ending itself. I didn't really like.
I didn't have a problem with I didn't have a problem with the third act, man. I don't know. For me, I did.
I was half and half.
Yeah,
and not to the point, and I just for me anyways, not to the point that it took away from my enjoyment of the film, but I definitely saw, I saw the man behind the curtain, so to speak,
Yes.
and it definitely could have been better, but still overall, I was okay with the third act. Some of it, was predictable,
Oh yeah.
Without spoiling anything, like the whole movie is pretty like, okay, this could happen, and then the ending is just like they're like, no, we want to do something crazy with one of our characters, and we'll see what happens with it, if that makes any sense. I can't spoil it, so like this doesn't probably make any sense, but
I tell you what,
it became something else entirely in many ways.
and they just wanted to get to the after the credit scene. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
They just wanted to do that scene, and it's like it's pointless. It's cool, but it's pointless.
It was just underwhelming. I felt overall like the at least the third act. Like I thought it was a nice pace. You established, you had some awesome moments. You had, a little nostalgia, a little meta, a little everything that you would want from this kind of movie. And I was like, this is actually really good. And then I got to the third act and I was like, all right, well, thanks for just turning what would have been arguably one of the best, if not the best in the franchise, not counting, the classic, but like to just like going completely left field. And that was my problem is I felt like this movie would have been up there as like right there with the original, somewhere up, not like kind of how I felt about Scream 5. Like it's, one of the better, if not the best sequels up there. But after the third act, I still like 2003 better. There's a couple other, like 2006 was okay. I put this above that. So I would put this like maybe third in the franchise, where this probably would have been as far as like remakes goes. Then where this might have been number one, something along those lines. But yeah.
Wayne was saying that he.
I got some breaking news here. Angela is in the chat.
Oh, it's just funny. Angela's in the chat, and so is Carrie. But when Carrie wasn't in the chat last time, Angela was there. I'm just saying. Just strange. Just strange that every time Carrie's here, Angela's here, and every time Carrie's not here, Angela isn't here. I'm just
look at Carrie. Carrie's like, oh, look, Angela's here. Hey, Angela.
Well, I can tell you that this whole Angela folklore now, because it's spreading to our channels. Like people are commenting on our own channels about Angela.
And Angela's become
just
like
Jake
the shape.
The shape, yeah, and Jake and his hospital thing,
Dude,
that's still going on.
Thank you to Wayne for giving me all these comments about how much I love hospitals and horror movies. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Man, I got to tell you something, and without giving a spoiler away, although it really won't give it away. But whenever we got to the end of the movie, you know what kept coming to my mind, and you guys are going to know exactly what I'm talking about.
What?
Think back to Nightmare on Elm Street, and Nancy gets in the car and they drive away.
Yeah, I know exactly.
And this particular scene happens at the front door.
Yeah.
And that's all I could think of. That's all that was in my mind. I'm like, oh, come on, man. You know, I hope you say, thanks to Wes Craven somewhere in that in the credits on that.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say right now.
True enough. True enough.
I was like, come on, man.
Yeah, no,
What's up, Chad?
That was the part I didn't like.
There were several, like even there's even like a Norman Bates moment in the film, which I think is pretty interesting. Like there was like some scenes that were just very blatant ripoffs of like other franchises, and it was like they just like threw in all of these like hey, let's take from all these classic movies and throw these out, like, and that's kind of what it was. I mean, yeah, it just, like I said, you got a blatant Halloween ripoff, you got like a Nightmare ripoff, you got a a Psycho ripoff, but like not even hiding it. Like it's not even like it's not even like oh, this is just a slightly. It's like almost like you could probably put them side by side and they are like identical. Like it just it was funny to like sit there. And I was just like, okay, so we're going this route. All right, okay. And then we get to Act 3 and they just turned it into something else entirely. And I was just like, oh, like, but I don't know.
Well, do you guys want to get ready to get into spoilers?
Yeah.
About that time? We talked long enough, non-spoilers. So for everyone in the chat, for everyone in the chat, we're going to get ready to talk about spoilers, full spoilers. So we want to make sure that we let you guys know that. We'll put up a little spoiler talk here. And let me just get the other one away. Yeah. So spoiler talk for TCM. You have been warned. Okay. So if you have not seen TCM and you don't want to have any spoilers, now's your time to, dip out for a little bit. All right. Let's talk spoilers, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Jake, let's have you start off.
And I just want to say one thing real quick. When Leatherface rips off his wings and turns into a bat, that was I was
so
like,
awesome.
Come on. I was like, come on. Now he's Dracula. Like, let's do this. Like,
I'm so glad that evolution finally happened. We've been waiting for it for so long.
Yeah, I wanted butterfly wings, not the bat wings, though. Give us lower back tattoo.
I'm typing up an email to the director right now.
He is vengeance.
He is vengeance.
Vengeance.
That's kind of the next movie up on the list too, as Batman.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Getting into some spoiler talk though, getting into some crazy stuff. I liked the film. It's a lot of fun. Like we were talking about earlier, I think the kills are all unanimously scary and disturbing. Is it Jacob Lattimore is the name of the actor who plays the main dude who like gets his
Oh, the jaw
that
adjusted.
Yeah. That was an upsetting long kill too. Like he doesn't just die immediately, he kind of lives with it for a bit, which is really disturbing. I like the psychological aspect to that. My favorite kill maybe of the entire movie though is the first one we get with the cop getting his arm broken and the protruding bone gets shot into his neck. Yeah. That was awesome.
That was good.
Very inventive kill. Really liked that. That whole sequence was awesome. That whole beginning sequence is super disgusting and then super gross. Loved it. And then we get the reveal later of what happens to I can't remember I can't remember any of the characters' names. I watched this at 3 a.m.
Mel, Lila,
the blonde girl in the van.
Did they ever say her name?
I don't know if they did. I don't remember them ever saying her name either.
She was basically Dante's girlfriend.
Yeah, she was even introduced as like when they asked like, oh, who's this? Every time he was asked, he said, "Oh, it's my future wife." Like, he never said her name. Like I don't think I remember them saying her name either.
Right.
But yeah, anyway, go ahead and continue.
Well, it gets revealed later on what happens to her, and it's disturbing. I love it. I love all the practical effects and the kills. I mean, just phenomenal. There's a little bit of digital assistance. I want to say that, like, there is some stuff I noticed along the way, but it's nothing like Texas Chainsaw 3D, where it's like every single kill is just a digital, disgusting mess that doesn't look real at all. This film is a massive improvement from the last two films for sure. The only the two criticisms I have is Sally Hardesty does not need to be in this movie at all.
At all.
Yeah.
I
agree,
don't
100%.
understand why they wrote her
all.
in. I mean, they kind of just wrote her in to kill her because, and I feel like it's the only reason I kind of like it though, because it really makes no sense with the plot, is it's kind of a playful middle finger to like Halloween 2018 or just requels. That's why I'm like, okay, it's cool, whatever.
Yeah.
But that one scene where she has the shotgun to Leatherface's head and she's just like, oh,
Talking?
like say my name, you know who I am, dude.
That took me off more than anything in the entire movie.
You took that scene from Halloween 2018 and you copied and pasted it into your movie is how I feel about it. And like,
I agree.
I don't know, man. That was like, dude, don't put that scene in there.
It was almost as if they weren't sure if they wanted to go all in with Sally's character or not, and I don't know if that had anything to do with the production, but it almost seemed like they had a couple of moments. I like the picture that she looked at of the the OGs from the original movie, Franklin and Pam and those guys, and she had a couple of moments where you could tell she's still haunted by him. But like you said, the confrontation, there was just it was underwhelming, except for that one scene where they were out in the rain and they were standing and facing each other. The camera shots were good, in some of those scenes. But other than that,
My whole thing is like, you waited your entire life for this moment. You literally catch him off guard. You have a shotgun to his face, and you don't pull the trigger.
Yep.
Like he's sitting down. Even when he stands up, you don't pull the trigger. You don't do nothing. You literally just stand there and look at him and say my name. Like I would have walked up and be like, "Oh, this is convenient." Boom.
It's not as cinematic though. Like imagine if that actually happened. Like then we'd be complaining about that too.
I would have been like, perfect. That was an excellent ending. I can't tell you how many movies I've seen in my life where I'm just like, one time I want to see them actually.
Just one time. Yeah, I want to see that.
Like I would have loved this in this movie because nothing really happened after that. Like it was just it was like the rest, like after that moment, like there was like nothing left. Like how I think it would have been awesome if she got her moment. She walked in, maybe you could have done the say my name thing, whatever, and he stood up. Maybe you get a little tussle and then she just boom blows his brains out. Like that would have been a perfect ending. Like I would have been like, this is great. This is a perfect movie.
I will say though, the room with all the water and stuff, that was a cool setting for the final act to take place in. Being like, how scary would it be to be in a pool with Leatherface?
Right?
You know what I mean? Like that's pretty scary.
I like
that's
the way
pretty
that was
upsetting.
shot.
Yeah.
It was. I just and then like the whole blocking of a shotgun shell with the he's just like swinging the thing and she's shooting him like 3 or 4 times and he's just dish, 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 and I was like, all right, come on, like now we're getting into fairy tale land. And for the most part you've made this a realistic film. Like even Jake was saying earlier, like you're watching this and you're like, this could actually happen, like and then you see the lady that ran the orphanage and and even the explanation for why he just like lost his mind, made sense. Like it actually was a good story.
Yes, I agree. I was really impressed with that because one of the things I kept wondering is, okay, this time gap. How are we going to explain this? How are we going to explain that he wasn't found in this and that? And right off in the beginning of the movie, they talked about it. Like right when the new characters came into that gas station, and they were basically like, "Well, did she ever find him?" And he's like, "No, he was wearing a mask."
Yeah,
and I was like, "Right?"
Exactly.
So and the orphanage thing too.
It was very reminiscent. Like when the movie started, it was very reminiscent of like 2003 and 2006 with like the documentary style. I was like, okay, we're going that route, which I've always enjoyed. I've always enjoyed that element in the beginning. And then I love the meta aspect of like this town has like merchandise and memorabilia, and it's like a celebration of them in many ways. Yeah, he buys like the corkscrew chainsaw and stuff. Like I just I did. I thought it was very well paced. I thought it was a very great story. You explained everything that you needed to explain. They even like laid the groundwork for Sally in the beginning right in the from the jump.
Yep.
And then they like established her and you're doing all this stuff. And then it's just like I don't know if like they needed to make a deadline or what, but it just after like halfway through that movie, like after like 50 minutes or so, maybe an hour of that movie, it just went down. And I was just like, wow, like they didn't establish Sally anymore. She just shows up. It's just like, and it's just and then you just had this like ridiculous, like over the top, and it just went from like he's a man with a chainsaw, messing people up to like he's Jason Voorhees. like literally. I mean, this was like you were saying, Jake, somebody in your comments was like they turned him into that. I mean, this one you could argue more so than any of the movies turned him into, because I mean he got shot, he got his chopped up, he got stabbed several times. I mean, he took a beat, and it was just like it didn't even faze him. It was just like, what? Like Michael hasn't even taken that much. At least Michael, he got shot.
Here he goes.
Like, I'm just like, God, like this dude's basically got decapitated, and it keeps coming. He's just holding his head.
I think it's clear that they're taking him in a new, more than a man direction. I mean, there's no way you can do all of that stuff and not have something behind it more than just the natural person, right? You have to, like, we know Myers has. We already accept that when we watch Halloween. We know there's something more than human. But I mean, at this point, the way this thing ended, with him going, oh come on, Knight, save for me. He's going where? Going
home.
Go home, Michael. Go home.
Yes, and so we see. I'm telling you, man, I never get tired of it. So but there's Leatherface going home, and I mean, obviously he's not bled out from being shot by multiple times, and all this stuff has happened to him. So I'm like, what are they going to do with it? Are they going to introduce some kind of a supernatural thing, or are they just going to let it be like, Jason Voorhees, you do whatever, you just can't kill the guy, right? I mean, we're obviously, like Fate said, we're in that territory, at this point, because that's of what happened. But the whole Sally thing could have been. I would love to have seen her come out on top, and it's kind of, it makes me really feel like Halloween Ends coming up. Like, what are we going to have? Are we going to have?
I thought of that too. I swear to you, I agree with you. When I saw her die, and then she kind of gave the shotgun blow that kind of saves everybody, and then they go off and finish the job. Well, not really, but essentially they thought they did at least.
Yeah,
they had a chance.
And then when I saw that moment and I see her just get like overpowered and killed, I was like, they know something we don't yet.
Yeah, I'm like, they're foreshadowing Laurie Strode right here.
This end scene has been exactly like Halloween. So I was like, either they're just throwing it out there as a lucky guess, or that's how it's gonna end for Halloween Ends. I was like,
now I'm gonna tell you something. If Halloween ends, if Halloween ends with her dying and Michael climbing off the radio tower and walking away or something, and we have a similar walking away ending, dude, come on, man. Right. I'm gonna be so furious. What writer or producer had as a buddy with the Halloween people?
Yeah.
See, that's different for me though, because they've been setting it up that they're gonna end the story here. Which if you keep Michael alive, the story's not over.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, he's gonna keep killing people, so if you don't kill him and Halloween Ends, it's not really the end. It's like calling your movie the final chapter and then making more movies.
It's always
that's always how it goes. And it's like, let's break that. Let's break that here with Halloween Ends. But with this movie, I'm fine with that. With this movie, it's like, you know what? I'm glad like I said, it's a playful middle finger to Halloween 2018. I don't think it's anything like they're not super angry. They're not like pissed off at the Halloween people, but like, it's like, hey, what if this happened instead? What if we bring back your final girl just to kill her? You know what I mean? And I thought that was interesting to see play out in this movie.
Yeah.
And that, as a horror fan, I appreciated it.
Yeah, man. I mean, when he used the chainsaw on her, I was like, what? I mean, because I thought if nothing else, I thought it would have gone on a little bit more. She would have done more. So yeah, I think it was kind of just to make you say, wow, okay, that's not usually what would have happened. But I agree with you guys. I think her character could have been handled a little bit better.
Yeah.
We also do have a question too. I just want to throw this out. Bobby was saying, I know it isn't Texas Chainsaw, but are you guys going to recap Batman? Comes out the 4th. Y'all can do a spoiler stream
Gosh.
on the 11th. My birthday is on the 12th. Happy early birthday, Bobby.
Happy early birthday.
We'll have to see, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
And-
I would
Maybe.
talk about it. I
Yeah.
don't know if the horror crowd would be super interested because I'm actually
Right.
like literally I'm honestly, besides horror movies coming out this year, this is the movie I'm the most excited for. Like literally
Yeah, me
all
too.
year. I've been rewatching all the Batman movies. Like I went back and watched the Adam West Batman movie, which is
Ooh.
wow. That's a film.
There you go.
man.
That is a ridiculous movie, but it was still fun. It was fun to go see. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is. They say it's classified as a horror movie. That this is like a horror version of Batman. So I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, I don't.
I'll have to see it first.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and the thing comes in too is if we all see it at the same time, around the
Right.
same time,
Yeah,
like
that's true,
the thing.
too.
Like, so I mean, there's a couple factors that go into play about us talking about movies, but I don't mind talking about it. I mean, it is a collective. We talk about whatever we want. It doesn't have to be. We've talked about things that aren't horror related at all countless times. So I don't mind
Right.
it. But yeah. I mean, if the audience is there and people want to hear
Yeah.
it, then yeah, absolutely. You all dictate the show. You all.
That's
are
right.
You all are the ones that navigate us on this ship.
You have the power.
Power, unlimited power.
See you later, Carrie.
See you, Carrie.
Bye, Carrie.
Don't worry, Carrie's just switching over to solely Angela now. She's just,
Oh, God. See you later, Carrie.
she's just
You will
Hey,
face the
Tyler.
fully.
yeah.
We had a good question in the chat a minute ago.
What was it?
From
NT or Nikki wants you to compare Texas Chainsaw and Halloween Kills. Which one?
Oh,
which one did
boy,
you like
here we
more?
go.
I like the Texas Chainsaw better than Halloween Kills. I thought it was
This
more
comes as no
fluid
surprise.
story. But
Yeah.
I mean, if Halloween Kills was closer to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I probably would have put it above there. Like I said, Halloween Kills there were some moments that it had that I enjoyed, but overall, like the entirety of the film, it just didn't really hit for me personally. This Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a majority of the film like hit for me, but it's really the third act, and it wasn't that like the third act was terrible or anything like that. It just became something that I wasn't expecting, but not in a good way. It was just kind of it was disappointing, and so yeah, of course that affected my overall thoughts of the film. But
Yeah.
I could never really get into Halloween Kills. At least this movie I could get into. I could, I bought in until certain moments here and there. But they didn't completely take me out of the movie. Like I've mentioned several times, like that's really what dictates a film for me, is like when you actually completely remove me from it. Didn't really remove me from the movie, but it just kind of made me go, that sucked. So that's the difference between those two.
Yeah. I guess Wayne was saying that he was hearing that a lot of people were saying that the TCM was terrible, while a few loved it. So it sounds polarizing.
I saw some things when I was looking some stuff up, and I guess it was getting killed pretty badly by like fans.
Really?
Yeah, at least what I saw. I don't know. Like I didn't really dive into it. I just saw like 3 or 4 articles to just kind of get a feel for it. But watched it, and they were all like, "This movie sucks," essentially.
I believe it has like a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's
Yeah.
got some low scores all around the board pretty much. I can see why people didn't like it. But for me, I enjoyed the kills. I think it was fun. It was fast paced. I'm always going to enjoy movies like that, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the ending, we should talk about the ending. Or you know what, let's talk about the party bus scene.
Yes,
and
the
then
bus.
let's talk about the ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That-
the party
that scene
bus
was
night.
amazing.
Yeah. Well, what'd you think about that?
I mean, first of all, going by the trailer, I thought to myself, well, there might be a couple of good kills, but the scene where they're all pulling out their phones, you just don't have the context of what's going on, right?
Yeah.
But the way it was set up right before he comes onto the bus, I thought was pretty good as far as creating the tension. When is he going to get on? Because you knew he was going to get on the bus. But before that, Dante had his face split wide open with some great practical effects. And you thought he was dead before that. So that was good setup. He gets on the bus. They have their little moment trying to, record him and stuff like that. And man, he went to town. And there was a couple of shots. I actually do have one. There were a couple of shots that I thought were really good. Some of these shots, like when you saw the hands on the window with the rain and the lightning. And yeah, man, I mean, he was cutting people in half.
That was something that's something that really bothered me. Like that bus scene.
Mm-hmm.
If I was on that bus, you best believe I'm kicking through one of those windows or something. I'm using a I'm using a dead person to throw through that window. Like everyone's just like, you have like 20 people banging on the window and not one person could break it. Like what are those? It's a bus. Like, they're designed for emergencies. Most of them don't even have seatbelts. So the windows are breakaway, like all of that stuff. Like you're talking about a bus. It wasn't like a reinforced zombie apocalypse bus.
Although I will say those old school buses, I remember being on those damn things in the summertime. Those windows were always hard to open up, and it was always just like rusted and stuff like that. So just to throw that out there, because I was thinking the same thing. They got to get out through the windows, But anyways,
and when someone did try to get out through the windows, they got cut in half.
Yeah.
So.
Good point.
But I'm saying like you're in the back of the let's say I'm in the back of the bus and this dude comes in, revs up a chainsaw. I'm not gonna wait to see what happens. I'm out of that bus. Whatever I gotta do. And nobody ran into that bathroom stall or something like that. Like everybody got killed, and then the two girls just conveniently stumble into the stall. I was like, come on. Like you best believe, like if I saw some dude come
Rest
on
in
with
peace.
the mask, I'm not pulling my phone out to go, you're canceled, bro.
But you know what though?
I'm think knocking somebody out, throwing them on the ground as a sacrifice and jumping through that window.
Yeah.
That's how my generation would react to something like that. I'm not
Exactly.
proud of it.
Exactly.
I'm not proud of that. But that's like
Exactly.
I would not start running. I would pull out my phone because I'd be scared. That's my defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is defense.
Like that's
to
gonna
me.
stop it, like.
But
This
it's
is gonna,
it's not.
It's not.
No.
Yeah. I'll tell you something, man. I have a philosophy about enclosed spaces where there's a lot of people and there's one killer. Now, granted, he's got a chainsaw. This is a very large weapon. It's very, so I give you that. To work, where I had to.
I was like, what? I thought he paused
Yeah.
for a minute.
No.
I was like,
What?
Craven
No.
just broke.
I know, I remember broken. But I used to tell people, like, when I managed a lot of folks in a building where we would have these things. What if a shooter comes into the building, or what if someone, that kind of stuff. It's, And my thing was this: I was like, look, if there's one person with a knife or some kind of a weapon here, there's 35, 40 of us. We storm them. And he can't kill all of us because, look, if we're going to get killed, let's take him down. And so we just attack him. And so my thought was when I was watching this whole bus scene, and again, I know when you're in the moment, things are different. I know that. And it's a chainsaw. It's not a knife. But I'm like, you're going to die. People are getting literally slaughtered in front of you.
Yes.
I'd be like, guys, let's go and just run and just storm up there. Yeah, somebody's going to get killed, but the majority would get out. Because all they got to do is get the chainsaw out of his hands. Once they have him disarmed, they're good.
Yeah,
right?
the Michael scene would have happened, and he would have just slaughtered everybody.
Oh, come on! No.
That's how it would have went. Like,
I'm telling you, man. There's something to what I said. I'm telling you.
I agree with you though. But you got to keep in mind too that these people they weren't.
That's right.
These people weren't. They weren't like they weren't like working security at a
or
venue
prepared
or
for
like,
it.
Yeah, they're like business investor people. Like they've probably never had to fight anybody in their life.
Right.
Like let alone somebody with a chainsaw.
Yeah, pulling their phones out. They're not used to fighting confrontations.
Because of course, like when you see scenes like that, you're just like, there's like 50 of you, and like what a him,
just
and he
go.
doesn't have a gun,
right?
He didn't come in with an AR. He came in with a chainsaw. Like
it's also a group of people that probably doesn't know each other very well. You know what I mean?
True.
And like
That's
when you're in a
true.
situation like that, it's kind of one for
one for all.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say, and
let's
words
go.
are just not coming out of my mouth. Yes, yeah. So no one's working together in this situation, which makes it more chaotic
That's
and honestly more
That's
interesting to watch.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was very well done. It was very believable because I mean, it's the
Oh,
whole,
yeah.
it's the whole fight or flight thing.
It
And
is.
most people, like even statistically speaking, most people try to run rather than fight.
It's usually the smart thing to do. Usually.
Well, yeah, especially especially if you can. But when
Yeah.
you're trapped like sardines
Exactly.
in a tin can, it's like
What are you gonna do?
it's but I mean, like not to go too in depth into this, but it's one of the big things with like 9/11, right? You had these people with box cutters on a plane, and you had an entire plane full of people, and there wasn't one person that was military, or one person that even just did security at a local bar or something like that could have, like, because usually when one person steps up, you get other people to rally behind. It's just that one person.
Yeah.
Like, because I used to do like I've done like training for like emergency evacuation plans, and like training for like self-defense, and like and response, like when people respond to a incident, whether even if it's just like somebody with a heart attack, stuff like that. Like one of the reasons that you're taught, like, you go call the cops, you call paramedics, because most people won't in a situation. They think somebody else has already done it, or somebody else is going to do it, and everyone just stands around. But when you have somebody that basically controls the scene and explains, you do this, you do that, or in a situation with like the bus, you have somebody that's like, hey, there's 40 of us, get them. You'd be surprised how quickly people go, oh, you're right. Because in the moment, people are panicking, they're freaking out. They're seeing somebody that they were just having drinks with get sliced in half. Like, it's a shocking thing. And most people aren't ready for that. Most people haven't experienced those things.
Right.
But all it takes is, just one person to say like, hey,
let's go.
Let's go.
Yes.
You're behind him. Hit him in the head with that, like that kind of thing. But you also have to have somebody that is observant and aware, and it's not easy. I mean, like I said, I mean, I had certifications. I could go grab all these certifications I have showing, like, and even people in class, I know people that were in these same certifications that have the same training that were in situations and just froze up. Because it's different when you have the training, you're sitting, you're reading a textbook, you're doing little self-defense things or whatever, and then it's completely different. It's completely different when you're in the moment. Like, I mean, there's people that are black belts that have just gotten the shit kicked out of them because they didn't even defend themselves, because it's a lot different when you have a controlled environment than when it's something that's chaotic. And I think that's kind of what the best thing is.
I don't think Night you ever have to worry about that. I don't think that'll happen tonight. I think you're always ready.
I don't know about that. Well, hey, Mike Tyson famously said everyone's got a game plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Yep,
and it's true, man. When you get hit, everything does change, and then that's when you get into that whole fight, flight, or freeze type of thing.
Yeah,
then you see what you're really about. But yeah, it can be scary because you never know.
Oh yeah,
Night I'm sure has. But have either of you two, Crave and Jake, have you ever been like really hit, like to where like you can barely stand? It is quite the experience. Seeing stars. That's a real thing. Yeah. Like,
I blacked out.
I've been in a sparring session and just I mean you're going pretty hard, but I just misjudged and like leaned right, boom, and I took it, and it went from this to shoom. I mean, you're talking, you're looking through a pinhole, and the problem is because I was still standing, and I was just kind of standing still. Nobody knew that I was dazed, so I'm just standing there, because usually they stop it in a sparring. They go, hey, hey, back up, give them a minute to breathe, stuff like that. But I was just like standing there, still like defending, but like it was a mess. Like, not to go crazy into it, but I'm telling you, when Knight is right. When you get hit in the mouth, everything changes. When you get hit so hard, you don't even know what universe you're in. It really changes your perspective. Like Kevin Hart
Yeah.
has a great stand-up where he's like, "Have you ever seen somebody get knocked out? Changes your opinion on fighting. It's true. Have you ever seen somebody get knocked out cold? You when you realize what you can do to somebody, or you've seen the results that somebody can do to somebody, you would never want to fight a day in your life ever again, because you're just like, especially I live in Vegas, which is the MMA capital of the world. So you never know who you're talking to. You know, you get some guy at a random bar that is an amateur fighter, but he's been doing it for 30 years. Like,
right,
get beat up. Like, but anyway, moving on to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, well,
right.
I gotta say this about the bus scene. My favorite scene, maybe in the bus scene within it, was the woman who was in charge of like the bank, and he leans her over the window. Or no, she's trying to climb out of the window, remember? And that saw comes down and just cuts her clean in half.
Like butter.
And then the best part, though, her entrails sliding down the side of the bus.
Yeah.
And like, this is great.
Yeah.
That's
There were
another
some
thing to talk
excellent
about.
visuals.
With that scene too, you know, you think you're getting a lot of just like swipes with the chainsaw and it's not going to be anything crazy. No, every single kill in this movie is inspired, disgusting, just disturbing. Every kill on the bus, like you see a guy without an arm and he's like screaming and crying. It's really upsetting. It's great. I love it. It's awesome.
And I'm sorry, Jake, I didn't mean to.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah.
But also to throw this in there, and we haven't talked about this yet, but the character of is it Lila? Yeah, Lila. She survived a school shooting, and so that kind of played a little bit, just a little bit, you know, for a character arc for her, and you know, she started getting some flashbacks, and I'm thinking, good God, man, I haven't seen this type of stuff in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I don't even know how.
I wish they explored that more.
True.
Yeah.
True.
I really do.
Absolutely.
Because it was really confusing in the beginning, and I was waiting for that moment that really explored it, and it never really came. You just kind of got a couple like brief flashbacks.
So they mentioned it though. They did mention that it was like, she had a bullet wound or whatever, and she said something about like Richter said like, how did that happen? And she was anti-gun and all that.
Yeah, and all that stuff. Yeah, but it wasn't like I would have liked it explored more. Like it was just kind of in passing. You know what I mean? Like,
The one thing I do like about it though is sometimes they'll just have a final girl character who's just randomly turns into a badass and starts kicking the killer's ass. I like that we had a final girl character who had some. This is a horrible way to talk about trauma, but like experience fighting people, if that makes any sense. She had some kind of experience with that. I like that. I think that was a good explanation for why she was able to stand up to Leatherface instead of literally everyone else who just got killed or ran away.
Right, exactly. And again, I know I've already said it, but I just cannot believe how much these characters I was invested in these characters, especially the sisters. I truly did not expect that whatsoever. I think the last time I was really invested in characters in the franchise was the remake.
Yeah.
You know. And obviously that was 2003. So I mean,
it's
like
been a minute.
Said, a long minute.
It's been a while.
It's true,
And I have to say too about that sister who had the trauma. I can't remember her name, but she when the movie starts, she's coming off of this whole anti-gun thing. I'm like, oh, here we go. We're gonna like one of the very first scenes. We're gonna start shoving some kind of agenda commentary down our throats again, so in a movie. And I'm like, okay, if this continues, I'm going to be tearing this movie a new one. And they at least gave what I considered an acceptable reason. It all made sense when I saw, you know, when we learned, rather, I didn't see it really, but you did see flashbacks when she's on the floor, remember?
Yes.
And she's seeing the girl there dying, the kids in her high school. And so I was like, okay, I get it now. All right, I get it now. And of course, and then later on to see her actually hold a rifle, you know, the very thing she was like so against. Of course, then she pulls the trigger, nothing happens. And I'm like, oh shoot, because I would have loved to have seen her just open a clip up with, you know, using the weapon that she was traumatized with. Now she's in control of it.
Yeah,
and I thought that would have been pretty cool. But they kind of went there, but they didn't follow. They didn't give her any bullets.
Well, you know, I think maybe they were just trying to just have this balance, you know, because like you said, they didn't, you know, they started look like they were going down the agenda path and they didn't. Richter's character for sure, right in the beginning of the movie, you thought you were going to totally despise him and just wait for him to get cut in
Yes,
half. But
totally.
I actually liked his character. Once they got into the town, he was still kind of an a-hole, but he was kind of like a charismatic a-hole. And then he actually tried to save Dante
He did.
and Melody when
Melody,
he went into the room and she was under the bed. Like he
Yes.
actually had a little bit of an arc, and I was like, "Wow, that's not too bad, not too bad."
Crystal had a really good comment saying, "Is Leela a final girl or final girl by accident? Melody displayed more final girl qualities." I agree with that, but I think they were definitely setting up both characters to be kind of that said character to be the final girl. You know, they both definitely had aspects of it for sure. And with what happens to Melody at the end of the film,
Yeah, talk about that, man.
it's kind of like, Leela was the final girl.
Nightmare on Texas Chainsaw Massacre Street.
But we did see kind of that transition. Like we kind of saw that transition between Melody to Leela.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Once
Like
Melody was
yeah.
pinned in the
They-
vehicle.
yeah, and even like before that, like, you know, you had Leela be the she was the one that, you know, she was the anti-guns or whatever the whole time. I thought, which I have to give her credit to with that, she didn't hesitate when she got the guns. I thought for sure for somebody with being anti-gun and stuff like that, she wouldn't have wanted to pick it up or she wouldn't have wanted to use it. You know, it makes sense that she kind of like, she didn't like know that the gun wasn't loaded or things like that. So, which makes sense because like my favorite thing in horror movies is that like you get these people that have probably never held a gun before in their life and they're like gun experts.
Yeah. And I kind of like, there was some realism there. I did
there was
like
like
that,
she
yeah.
picked up the gun and she just like is looking at it, has no real clue, and she's just trying to. She just thinks you just press the trigger and that's how it works, and it's just like,
Right.
oh no, like
You know
and
what
I-
though? Here's the thing: if this is made into a scary movie 7 or 8 or 9, some spoof, you know what's going to happen in that scene? There'll be that gun sitting there. She'll look at it and she'll look over and she'll look at a banana peel.
Exactly.
And she'll grab the banana peel, start
Right.
going after
Yeah.
it. You know, so it's going to be totally going to do something like that.
We need it. We need it. But, I mean, I mean, granted, they do live in Texas, and like, you know,
Heck
Craven,
yeah.
he can mention that. Like everyone, like you buy your first gun with like your first birthday. You know, you're like,
Not far from it.
you know, you're like, he's one. He's a man. He's old enough. Here you
That's
go.
right.
He's a man.
Like,
That's right,
Right.
buddy.
That's Texas.
That's so
That's
funny.
Texas.
Shooting range
That's-
is
that's-
8 years
that is.
old, man.
Yeah, that's how
Heck
it is.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but we saw the transition in the movie. We saw the the whole, her sort of stepping in the role. You know, you think that they're both going to survive, but then you have that change up. But I think that they did a good job of setting that up. You know.
Yeah, I did not expect that at the end though. When Melody got, I was like,
And
whoa.
Once again, a great
Yeah.
kill, but just not earned, you know? Like, it's just like, oh, hey, let's just have this. And what I was talking about
stinger.
earlier. Yeah, right. What I was talking about earlier, too, kind of goes along with this. I have two big problems with the final act because we already talked about Sally and everything that happened with her. So I kind of wanted to just talk about these two things real quick. This part, of course, is literally just to set up that post-credit scene where we see Leatherface go home. That's it. That is the only reason they had this scene. So,
Hey,
are we
quick moment,
Yeah.
Jen. Please be careful. You know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jen.
Blessings to you.
Definitely.
Sorry
You
to
know.
hear that.
Yeah, really sorry to hear that. Thank you for being here. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Hope you're doing okay.
yeah.
yeah, please
Yeah,
keep us updated.
absolutely.
Let us know. You know, we love you, Jen. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So, but yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Jake. Continue.
No, it's all good. But yeah, so I just feel like they set up that they just did that last scene to set up this weird post-credit scene to, I guess, lean into a sequel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But there's
Oh, yeah.
this movie's not getting a sequel. I don't know. it's probably not.
I don't know, buddy.
It might. It wouldn't shock me. I mean, think of
I
all
hope
the
it
terrible
does.
sequels we've gotten in this franchise. Like,
That's true.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's
And
a
I
good
wonder.
here's-
I
here's
wonder.
the
I
thing.
wonder how much Leatherface made because that was panned pretty hardcore by fans.
It had to have made money. They wouldn't have made this new one so quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing too, is with Netflix now having it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that a sequel has the potential to be much better because they, like I said, like
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning of the stream, they really had to Mickey Mouse this at the end. You know,
Yeah.
who knows how much was done before they actually got the actual product, and then
Right.
they had to finish it. So
Yes.
them being able, because there were a lot of great, like I said, 3/4 of this movie, in my opinion, was great. It was the back half that really disappointed me. And it's not that the back half was bad, in my opinion. It just went a completely different direction. And I'm curious to know if that was Netflix or if that was what happened before. Because like I said, they probably just got everything together and just finished putting it together. Where a sequel, where Netflix has it from the jump, they're putting the money into it. They're putting the time to develop it. Their writer team, stuff like that. It may actually be a lot better. And they have a lot to go off of with this movie, you know. So Netflix may be able to make a quality sequel, because I think that this was one of the more quality sequels, and I'm personally I would be willing to give them a chance.
And of course, Netflix. I mean, they put out movies like it's Christmas dinner, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they spend money right and left, and it's like, wow. You know?
Yeah, but they've had some really good and successful Netflix originals lately, especially lately.
Oh yeah.
You know, so I'm all for that. I just I'm curious. Ohio Chainsaw Massacre. There's the Belgium Chainsaw Massacre, but yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, the end scene, it was underwhelming. I would have liked, again, we've talked about this before about other movies, like give us an extra 10-20 minutes to really flush out a quality end scene. It was just like we got there.
Poor Jen.
I'm so
sorry, Jen. Wayne says, "Fair enough, Jen."
That's great.
That's good.
But, yeah, so like, yeah, it's just like I would have liked them to take an extra like 10-15 minutes or whatever. The movie still would only been like an hour and 30 minutes, you know, an hour and 40 minutes, and given us, you know, a more detailed third act. I would have felt better.
So, gentlemen, I did tell you before the live stream I have to get off at 7, but I do want to tell you guys I want to say one more thing, my closing thought on Texas Chainsaw, and I will let you guys go nuts. There's one missed opportunity I feel about this film that they tried to do with the ending, but I just feel like it doesn't land. Because, like, you get the scene with Melody getting ripped out of the car. She gets her head chopped off. Awesome kill. Can't deny it. But it definitely felt like a dream sequence. And, like, stylistically, too, they filmed it kind of in the same way as the original ending to Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah.
Right.
But the problem with that is it's not set up in the same way. We have Sally Hardesty running away from Leatherface for this long period of time, and she just barely gets away with the skin of her teeth. And we see her screaming, clinging to the back of this truck, and it's terrifying as Leatherface starts dancing with the chainsaw and all that. We don't get that here. We get a typical, like a prototypical slasher ending where it's like, oh, it's a fake resolution. Hey, we're all good, guys. Everything's great. And then suddenly the slasher's still alive. That's the biggest problem with the ending, in my opinion, the way they set it up. And if they would have set it up in a way where, like, the final act was just them getting chased by Leatherface for, like, 5 minutes, and then they find a way into their Tesla and they start going, like, yeah, okay. And then if you want to have Melody get her head chopped off, sure. But the way they set it up is a little disappointing to me. And one more thing. I'm sorry. I will shut up after this and leave. But there's a scene in the Evil Dead remake. Have you guys seen this with the chainsaw? The ending of that film where it's just blood and guts. And although I like Fede Alvarez and Rodo Sayegas, who was a part of this film as well, that's their movie. I just wish they kind of would have replicated that a little bit with that ending scene where she gets the chainsaw, killing Leatherface with his own chainsaw, or just like cutting him in half. You know,
that's what I thought was going to happen.
She
just
kind of boops him on the chin and knocks him into the water. Like, that's not going to kill him. Come on, we all saw that coming. So very predictable ending. That was one of my two problems with the ending that I had. But guys, great conversation as always. I'm sorry I have to leave you guys early. The next stream we do, I will be here for 4 hours. I promise.
And we were just on such a great length, man. Today, out of all days, we were just connected. I'm gonna feel like I'm gonna feel like one half of a whole that is missing.
You, me, and Angela, we're all gonna get a house. It's gonna be gonna be great.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
I didn't say that. You said that.
You set that up.
You said that. So
Wow.
have a great rest of the stream, guys.
All right,
You too, man.
Later.
See you, buddy.
Peace.
Take care.
See ya.
Thank God he's gone.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God, that's so exhausting. But anyway, so back to real conversation.
But this
No.
movie, man, seriously, I mean, we've talked about the ups and downs, the things that we enjoyed, the things we didn't. But again, my overall thing, I can't wait to see it again.
Yeah,
And like I
I'm definitely
said,
gonna watch it again.
yeah,
I wanted to make. I was gonna make a review, and I even have had people asking me on my channel, like, "Oh, are you gonna make a review for this?" And I was going to today, but I want to watch it one more time. Like,
yeah,
I know people usually like my initial review reactions, but I want to. I feel like I don't have a proper like gauge for this film on how I truly feel. Like,
yeah,
and it was very similar with Scream 5 also. Like I got out of that
Yep.
movie and I was like, but that's like my content. So like I had to make, like, if I could have, I would have waited, a couple more days, saw it again, and
Yeah.
then done the review. But like, my channel is my channel, so I kind of obligated to, which I did do a follow-up review, which so I figured for this, I think I'll post one tomorrow. I'll watch it again tonight and get a really good feel for it because yeah, like I said, I watched it and I was like, that was better than the ones that I liked, but I was really underwhelmed with the third act, and I'm hoping that maybe if I see it again, maybe the third act will hit a little better for me.
Yeah, maybe.
But I was just really disappointed with the third act overall. But
I hear you.
yeah, what any other major? I heard that. I love you, Jake.
Oh man,
Besos.
I love that. That's
Oh, my
great.
gosh.
He's still listening in there. You're all right,
hilarious.
Jake.
He makes me happy.
Oh, geez. But Steven, any
Yeah.
other thoughts that you have on it? Because I mean, like I said, I saw you when you were like, "Man, I'm about to press play," and and
Yeah.
obviously, you enjoyed some things about it.
I did. No, I think that pretty much covers it. I mean, it was one of those movies where I don't know that I don't know that I'm going to watch it again. I know. I mean, not because I don't think it's good. I mean, I thought it was okay. You
Yeah.
know. But it's not. I don't know. It doesn't. I don't. Maybe I should watch it a second time. But like you said, Fate. But maybe one more viewing of it. Which is, it is sometimes more. It's honestly fair to give a movie, a couple of viewings at least, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
to
how I
really-
look at it too.
Yeah, because and it depends what mood you're in when you're watching it. It depends. A lot of things
Yes.
go into how you feel about a movie. So, yeah, I think I'll maybe watch it one more time. But overall, again, it was better than I thought it was going to be. I'll be totally honest.
Oh yeah.
Wretched, just a wretched movie. And I was like, okay, the kills are good. The plot was well done. The story was good.
I like
And
the characters, which I
yeah.
totally did not see that. I mean,
yeah, same with
and I know I keep saying it, but it's so true, man. When I saw the characters and I knew kind of a little bit about the story, I was like, and I was just pleasantly surprised that I even
Yeah.
gave a what about these characters.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. That's true. And I'll say this too, and you guys were touching on it earlier, and I was a little bit disappointed with the whole Sally character. There was so much potential, man, that and she was, I think Fate, you mentioned it. Yeah, she wasn't in the movie much, man.
Yeah.
I'm like,
She wasn't established.
no,
Right.
they should have had a lot more time with her in this movie and letting her even be there to help the kids when they're still like, more of an intricate part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and that I thought that was a big missed opportunity. It was like
Yes.
you're introduced to her here, and he makes the phone call. The guy at the gas station or whoever it was calls her,
Yep.
and I'm like, okay, here we go, let's go. And then you get a little scene of her with at her barn, and she loads up her truck, and then she's gone for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
He's just gone, and then
Although I did love this scene though.
oh, that
beautifully
was
shot.
oh,
That-
man.
Yeah.
And that-
I mean,
That
it
mother, that poor mom.
Yeah,
Oh
seriously.
yes, good
I
point.
know that was crazy.
Good point, man.
That was crazy.
I felt bad for her, and I was thinking, okay, I can buy into this being the reason that stuff's going to pop off again.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
this was a person that he basically was a mother to him.
He was.
She took him in
Yep.
and basically cared for him for all these years.
Yeah.
Decades.
Well, and she didn't want him doing, like, that's why she told him, like, that
Don't go into
talking
my
about
room.
Easter eggs, like, hey, like, don't go. What did I tell you? Even while she's dying, she's over there saying, like,
Yes.
hey, like, don't get into my room still. Remember all the good things mommy taught you about being a good boy,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
yeah, she was really trying to keep him from killing again.
Yes.
And even when he comes down and he checks with the guests and stuff, and she's just like, it's okay, go to the room, even though they're
Yes.
trying to throw her out of her house.
Mhm.
And everyone just thought she was this crazy senile lady, but she's
Right.
not. She was
Good
trying
point.
to keep, the monster on a leash, is
That's
what she
right.
was trying to
Yeah.
do. And
Had
and
the
so
had the chainsaw in her wall.
yeah, literally,
buried
she
in the
even
wall.
hid it
Right.
so he couldn't just go
Yes.
easily get it. Like, and that's the
Yes.
thing, and that was something that I noticed too. That really, like, I was like, this is great. This was a wonderful, like, moment, and you really felt for her, and again, I really enjoyed the story overall. I thought they did an excellent
Yeah.
job of putting together the story overall, and explaining why he picked up the chainsaw again, so on and so forth.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I really love that, like, in the hospital when they're just like, or not the hospital, but the police van, and
Yeah.
she's just like, as she's dying, she's just like,
Yeah.
remember your mommy's good boy, remember, stay out of the room,
Yeah.
don't go in mommy's room and stuff, like, and yeah, and you see him struggle, and then you have that Norman Bates scene where he's like putting the makeup on and stuff. And
Yes.
just like,
Now, I also wondered, was that because to me, and I'm going to probably do a video on this too, but it seemed like there were some Easter eggs or callbacks to the franchise, and I was wondering if that was just a little wink and a nod to Texas Chainsaw 4, where he was totally dolled up. That was
possibly.
Because he was doing the makeup.
Yes.
Yeah, it might have.
Yes.
That's a
Yes.
good point. It very well could have been that.
I bet it was.
Yeah, because I mean, it was.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was very and yeah, I didn't even catch that reference, to be honest. Like, now that I think about it, and maybe that was like, I just saw it. The first thing that popped in my head, I was just like, oh, this is like Norman Bates, like,
Yeah.
he's like obsessed with this woman. He loves this woman so
Yeah.
much,
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. That's the first
Well,
thing
and he
that
had
popped in my head, but that makes more sense.
And he literally had her face on his face, so he's making up her face, like she
Yes.
would make
Yeah.
her face
Yes.
up,
Yes,
and
exactly.
Yeah.
it's like, this is mom.
Well, and
or not
she
mom,
even
this-
said that.
with me,
She even said, she's like, I wish, oh, you're the new neighbors. I wish I knew you were coming. I would have, put my
I would
face
have
Put on
on.
put my
face.
face on.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so he
That's
probably heard, maybe you heard that. And that
Yeah.
was like, the
Yeah.
connection, the reference. I think that's
point.
that's kind of an interesting thing that I didn't even think about till just now,
I mean, he
maybe
defi-
that's why he
Yeah.
like, he played it off as if she was still alive, maybe something.
Yeah,
like
I mean, he definitely had a childlike demeanor to him, because even when he killed Ruth, in the van, and cut her up in her gut, he moved her blonde hair over her face and kind of put his
Yeah.
hands on her face.
did.
So
Yes.
again, it's little things like that. It would have been nice to maybe see a little bit more of that, but again, it's a slasher horror movie on Netflix, but it does show a little bit more of his character versus someone like a Michael Myers or a Freddy
Right.
Krueger or a Jason Voorhees. He's not going out to kill because he wants to kill per se. He's defending his family. He's defending his home. He's defending his way of life. He's defending his sanctuary. So, those were just little moments here and there, especially if you're a fan of the franchise, that you could enjoy,
Yeah. Well, I mean, and in many ways, he's through the history of the franchise, he's not really the bad guy. It's the people around him. He's like, he's essentially the family pet. Like, you can't get upset with the dog if you came to my house and I told my dog to attack you, you can't blame the dog for that. The dog's trained to listen to me tell you to attack. And that's kind of what Leatherface is. He's that dog that the family around him has always said, like, this is what you need to do. You need to be a good boy. You need to do this. You need to do that. And he's always just done it for his family.
Right.
And so, like I said, he was the family pet in many ways. And this really showed another side to him and the woman that was taking care of him.
Yeah.
She understood the psychology about him, but she, instead of used it to be bad, she used it for good. She used it to keep him under wraps the last 50 years
Yeah.
or whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean,
Which is-
she yeah. It's
I mean,
true.
her dying breath was
Mhm.
trying to keep him contained, was trying to keep
Mhm.
him, from just going off the rails, and he
Yeah.
still ultimately went off the rails, And I
Yeah.
think that's the thing that's going to be interesting if they do a sequel, is that now that he's completely alone,
Mhm.
how will that play out?
Right.
Like, is he going to just be like a rabid dog off a leash and just running through Texas, Michael Myers style, and Halloween
Right.
Kills, or is it going to be or is it going to be like is there actually going to be more structure? I'm
Right.
curious how that's going to play out, but.
Blucko was saying, yeah, he feels like they chose the wrong actress to survive. The one they chose showed absolutely no range at all. Even her screams at the end were so off. Well, I don't know, man. I enjoyed Lila. I thought she was a good character.
I didn't mind Lila either, but I do agree that Melody had more range, but that might have just have been their character.
Well,
Yeah.
it was the character. I think it was
Yeah,
the
because
character.
you got to keep
Yeah.
in mind the trauma her sister,
Yeah.
Lila dealt with. She was a
Yeah,
a
she was-
shooting survivor.
Right. She wasn't meant to
survived.
be happy-go-lucky.
Yeah,
you know.
it's kind of like the Sam.
So I was about to say the same thing. Sam and Tara. Yep.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
kind of the Sam of the Scream, where you had
Yeah.
the one sister who had more of the range, the other one was sort of playing based on her past traumas, and
Right.
that's kind of what they went through.
Mhm.
But no, I mean I can understand people, just like Tara, people have sort of anointed Tara as the final girl. I could see that happening with this.
Yeah.
But I also to kind of look at it from the other side of that, it's more impactful that Melody was the one to die, because
Right.
Leela, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like Leela was the sort of victim. She was the sort
Exactly.
of awkward one, the one that
Yep.
her sister Melody even stated, like, you can't even take care of yourself without me,
Right.
or
Yep.
something
Yeah.
along those lines. And she walks away and she's just like, oh man, I shouldn't have said that. But like, it showed like that she was basically the parent, and so you
Mhm.
lose that parent. Now
Yeah.
you have, just like how, and it sort of mirrors Leatherface, because now you have Leatherface who's just off on his own with no parent figure, and
Right.
you have the final girl in the same boat. So it's very it's very similar,
Right.
which I think is interesting. But
Man. Yeah.
what
Agreed.
I mean, I still think though, and it is a cool parallel, but it was so unnecessary to kill her sister. Man, that was so,
they
I
didn't
guess
have to.
Yeah.
they didn't have to
Yeah.
kill her and yank her out of the window like Krueger
Yeah.
yanked out Nancy's mom through the window.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? I'm like, oh man, come on,
Mm-hmm.
seriously, you're gonna do you went there, right? We went there, and I'm like, okay. I mean,
Plus, it was
I-
almost like the scare at the end of the reboot when he came right to the car when Jessica Biel was driving off. It reminded
Yeah.
me a little bit of that too.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean it was like, that's what I'm saying. Like Act 3, there was a lot I would have done differently. I don't really mind Melody dying. My thing is, it was just for like the typical shock
yeah,
at
totally.
the end. Like, I would have, like, if she died in a more purposeful way, or even just like some epic kill, I would
Yeah.
have liked it more. But like, the only reason she died, and yes, she did have, like, he's holding her head at the end and like just showing off type thing. But like, I don't know, that just didn't really hit for me. Like, I'm assuming that they thought it would for people.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of fell flat in my opinion, and I just felt like it was solely for the reason of just that shock, that typical horror movie shock.
Well,
Yeah,
and the way she
I
was
agree.
killed, it was all just reaching in and pulling her out through the window like that, and then in rapid fashion. It wasn't like there was no struggle. It was just like just like that, just gone. I'm like, what? Like a vacuum. And so I'm like, okay, I mean, they were going for the shock. You're right. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And again, I mean, it's a horror movie. You almost expect that right? Don't we?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
especially when we're dealing with these kind of movies specifically. So
Mm-hmm.
I was fine with it, And like I say, overall, I think the movie was a decent slasher movie. That's the way I describe it. I don't think it was great. I don't think it was bad. I think it was good. It was a good slasher movie. You know,
Mm-hmm.
don't go
Yeah.
in expecting greatness. Don't go in. Don't go in expecting it to be bad, because I think it was done well. And Knight, you touched on it earlier, man. The practical effects helped this movie, and the CGI that they did use, it helped really seal the movie, because we've seen
Good night, Angela.
bad
Be
practical
safe. Be
effects.
safe. Have fun. Sorry. Go ahead.
We've seen bad practical effects. We've seen bad CGI effects, right? On a lot of things,
Right.
and it takes you out of the movie. It's like, oh, this is pathetic.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't happen though. They did a good job with that. I thought it was believable. The kills looked real, and so that alone, to me, if you're into this genre of horror, that's worth
Yeah.
watching.
Good point.
That it scored well there. So
Excellent
anyway.
point, man. I mean, because and again, you hit it with what you said too, Stephen. Because it's a slasher film. Okay, it's a slasher film, so that's as basic as it's probably gonna get.
Yep.
In a lot of ways. And I watch a lot of slasher movies. We do our Monday night slasher movies, and I've seen the highs, I've seen the lows. And if you have a movie where you can at least enjoy the characters, it's good practical effects. You got plenty of gory kills,
Yep.
great cinematography, and the music was good too. Plus, you even had a little bit of character development for multiple characters. You're winning for
You're
me.
winning.
You're winning. So,
Yeah, I did. I thought, like I said, 3/4 of this movie was good. Like, it was really good. I thought from start to the midway, or not the midway point, but like after the bus, roughly, around there. I just like that third act really just
Hey, Valerie.
it just went off a
Hey,
cliff
Valerie.
for me. Hey Valerie, how you doing? And yeah, and that was my problem. But overall, I enjoyed it. Like I said, I'll watch it again tonight, and then I'll probably do my spoiler video tomorrow, unless I can finish the movie rather quickly. But I don't know. It's one of those things that it was good. Like like if somebody was like, "What did you think?" In a one word answer, I'd say it's good. Like it's not great, it's not bad.
Yep.
Would like if it was on, like 3 months from now, if it's on TV randomly, it's one of those movies that I'd be like, all right, I'll watch this. Like there's nothing out. Like it's not, or if I'm hanging out with you guys and like one of you are like, hey, you want to watch this movie? I'd be like, yeah, sure. Like let's do it. It's not a movie I'd be like, nah, like that. Let's not do that. Like I'd watch it again. Like I want to watch it again. So I mean, the fact that I want to watch it again to get more information, at least was good enough to keep me intrigued.
Yeah,
there you go.
Which at least makes me go, hey, like because usually when a movie's just bad, you're just like, yeah, that was a bad movie.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's usually how it works. But I don't know. I
couple guys were saying, like Blucka and Austin were saying, they wish it was a little bit of a longer film. And I definitely could say,
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that. In other words, I was not bored, and when it was over, I had a smile on my face, pretty much. So I definitely could have gone a little bit longer with it too.
Yeah, I
agree.
that was my I didn't mind the length because I thought for the most part it was rather well paced. It was like I said, I would have liked it to be longer for the sake of like extending that third act and really giving us, especially more Sally.
Yeah,
like
more Sally.
I would have liked more Sally development. If you would have given us another like 5-10 minutes of Sally development, I would have been all for it. I wouldn't have minded, and it still would have been a relatively short film. Like you could have added another 10 minutes to this movie, and it still would have only been like an hour and 30 minutes. Like it was an hour and 25 minutes.
Yeah,
but that's not counting credits and end scene and stuff like that. So in reality, the movie was like an hour and 10 minutes, if that. If you would have added another 15 minutes or so, I wouldn't have minded at all. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I wanna give it another chance before I really give a like I loved it or hated it like I
Mhm.
said, at this point, it's just
Yeah,
it's a
that's
good
fair.
movie. It's just
Yeah.
it's a good movie.
Yeah. And real quick too, Valerie
Yeah.
was just saying was celebrating my mom winning her cancer battle.
Congratulations!
Wonderful.
Wow.
Congrats.
Yeah,
That's
congratulations.
awesome. So
That
Yeah.
is
great.
awesome. Very cool.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Very,
Was
very cool.
diagnosed 6 years ago. Remission now. Congratulations. Yes. Please hold
Absolutely.
on. Hold on to that. Yeah. My mother
True
died of
enough.
cancer, so I get it. Believe me, it's a
Yep.
scary time. You
Yep.
know, so cherish it for sure.
Yep.
Yep. And as we're heading to the finale here, one question that jumped up that I thought might be interesting for us to look over real quick. Wayne was wondering, sort of off topic, what horror movie next are you guys looking forward to the most to come out soon?
I know.
There's two. There's two
Oh,
for
go
me.
ahead.
Go ahead,
Go.
Fate.
No. I was just gonna. So there wasn't a pause while we were thinking. Like right off the top of my head, the first movie I'm really curious to see is another one that I'm like a huge fan of the franchise is Jeepers Creepers Reborn.
Hmm.
I just the more that like I look into it and do videos on it and stuff, like I but not in a good I have my reservations about this movie. But I'm hoping that once the movie actually comes out, it'll be good.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my hope. But that's one off the top of my head. And then outside of that, I mean, there's tons of movies. Terrifier 2, I can't wait for
Hmm.
that to come out. Nope, I'm curious to see about. Halloween Ends, obviously. But yeah, Craven.
Yeah, I have three I'm looking forward to. Black Phone with Ethan Hawke is one that I'm looking forward to seeing how, because we know it's going to be the supernatural, the ghosts of the former
Yeah, it's
victims.
interesting.
It's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, I like that concept of a movie. I think
Yeah.
I've always liked ghost stories where the ghosts they actually help. They're not there
Serve a
to
purpose.
haunt. Yeah, they serve a purpose. They're just haunting you, right? Yeah.
Right.
They're actually trying to help you. Are they seeking redemption for themselves and they, to get closure, I like those kind of stories. And those are fun movies.
Thank you, Wayne.
But I'm also looking forward to what's the other one? Nope. You mentioned Nope. That's the second
Yeah.
one that I'm looking forward to. And the third one that I'm looking forward to, probably more than those two, is my man Michael. Halloween Ends. Yes, on October 14th, I think it is this time. Right there, buddy. I want to see the end of the trilogy. I want to see what Jamie Lee says is going to make us angry. I want to know what that is. Yes.
Hmm.
And I want to see if Silver Shamrock will be brought back into play with our radio signals. All the stuff. I'm telling you, man. Knight and I had a stream about it last weekend, and we talked for like 2
Yes.
hours about it.
Yeah, man.
And we could have talked two more if
We
we wanted
could have.
to. We could have kept
We
going.
really could have.
Lots
we
of
really
lots
could've.
of ideas there. So that's the one though, and what a way to finish the year in October. We're getting to the end of the
Yes.
year. That's the way to close it out. So those are my three.
And to piggyback off of what you said, Steven, and I agree with all of you guys' choices, and I'm excited for those movies too. Black Phone, Nope, Terrifier 2, and of course Michael Audrey Myers. But think about what we're just talking about here, guys. We're talking about all these movies and the excitement for these movies. We were just shocked as hell by what Netflix was able to do with this crazy ass franchise that has had a lot of ups and downs. The point I'm making
Yeah.
is it's a great time to be a horror fan,
It is.
It
right?
is.
I mean,
And it's a great time to be a content creator in horror because
Hey.
we get to make all these videos, we get to talk about it, we get
That's
to
right.
express our
I mean,
passion.
yeah,
That's
I
right.
mean, the thing of it is that, we've got legacy franchises like this and Halloween and Scream, and we also have some new horror like The Black Phone and Nope and stuff like that. And it's like, it's just a good time to be a horror fan. And obviously, especially you, Steven, we've gone through periods over the years where there were some droughts.
Oh
we
gosh,
we
yes.
we once had to be saved by Wes Craven and Scream, like because it
Yes.
was a drought, and there was even
Ooh.
a drought a little bit after Scream for a while, and then
Yes,
here
that's
comes
right.
James Wan and The Conjuring and Insidious and
Mhm.
things like that. So right now we've been in a nice multi-year phase of horror movies that gives you multiple things, and as a horror
Yes.
fan, I think it's a great time. I really do. I just wanted to say that.
No,
No, I agree.
absolutely, 100%, man. I mean,
Uh, uh, Green Gaze said something that I actually kind of wanted to ask. He said it's going to be the worst movie ever, but Halloween Ends, which I don't think that. But
Oh, come on.
I want real quick, without going into an hour of Halloween talk.
Why not? No, I'm kidding.
Is what like early predictions? Let's just keep it simple. Scale 1 to 10. Where do you think it follows? 1 being the worst, 10 being the greatest. Where do you think this movie goes as far as like Halloween films? Do you think it's going to be, a better one of the better Halloween films, or do you think that most likely it'll be underwhelming?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead, Knight.
Yeah.
Well,
He's literally itching.
Well, I will say this. Because Green Gaze was saying it's going to be the worst film ever made. I can guarantee you that it will not be.
Yeah,
because
you can
I've seen some bad films.
Yes.
But I will say this. And I've gone, and again, I know I've said this before, but it's so true, Steven, you know this. I've gone through the whole franchise. When we're talking about the Halloween franchise, it's been some wacky moments in that franchise. So I can guarantee you this. It will not be the worst film in the Halloween franchise. I'm going to guarantee it right now, right here. There is no way this film is going to be worse than Resurrection.
No.
Or The Curse. And I know Rob Zombie
Halloween
movies.
Kills.
Stop.
No, stop.
Fate, I want you to rank the Halloween movies, and I guarantee you Kills will not be at the bottom. But
I
anyways,
guarantee it.
It'll be third from the bottom.
But all seriousness though, I think I have a feeling this movie will be on par with the other two. If I was to give it a number, like you said, 1 through 10, I'd be cautious and say at least a 7. I want to be cautious because we know a lot of times trilogies do have a hard time sticking the landing. A lot of that is because of fan bias, and I'm going to admit I do that quite often.
Yeah.
So I think it's always a challenge to stick the landing because that's the last thing in this story arc. But I think it's going to be on par with the first two. I really do, and I would say it's going to get at least a 7. And a 7 for me is saying that the movie is pretty good. I'm not saying that it's great or fantastic, but I think it's going to at least have a 7 for me.
Graven.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not to copy you, man, but I think I'm on par or in agreement with you rather with what you're saying, because I liked the first two movies, and I think that this, for me, it's going to come down. Honestly, I'm not worried about cinematography. I'm not worried about acting. I'm not worried about pace. All that stuff I know is done. It's sold. It's rock solid. The thing that's going to swing me from being like a 7 to a 5 is going to be the ending. It's going to be the ending of this movie. How the direction they take will determine whether I rank this about right in the middle of the pack, or if it's going to get better than that, which is better than average, to a good status of 7 with you. So I think it could be a 7. And I hope it will be. That's my hope.
What type of ending? Just briefly, like I said, this would actually be a good conversation with Jake. But
it would be
briefly.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we could do on our next one. But just briefly, what would make it go from like a 7 or 8 to like a 4 or 5 for you ending wise? If they kill Lori, if they like I said, without.
Yeah,
because we can talk about this for hours. But
yeah, really, and it's good to think about, right? Like you should give it some thought. Yeah. So off the cuff, and I may change my criteria after I really think about it.
Yeah.
But right now, on the spot thinking, I would say, it's how they handle Lori and Michael, and this whole radio tower, man. I'm telling you, this radio tower could be really done well, or it could be really bad, and
right.
I'm nervous, guys, about the radio tower. That alone could swing me down to a 5. If they do that wrong, and it's hokey, and it's just no, this is not well done. It's not written well and executed well. Then that alone would do it. But also the Michael's in death. Is he going to die? How's he going to die? Is Lori going to die? Which I think she is. I'm preparing myself like I did for Dewey.
Yeah.
And I always did a hashtag no more Deweys. And, and I think we're going to get it. We're going to get a Dewey in January. We're going to get Lori in October. And so I'm preparing myself for it, but I don't want to see climbing up and falling off of towers, of radio towers. It's just how they do it, man. You know.
Yeah.
Now maybe
Yeah.
it's something where if the tower is transmitting something, I'm just saying if that's what it is, then maybe it makes sense that Laurie's climbing up the tower to knock off the transponder at top because he's going to kill Allison, and if she doesn't stop the signal, he's going to kill. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of stuff. It could make that. You could make it work, but that's. I guess fate for me. It's more in that. It's more in, and also don't kill Lindsay off in the first 20, 30 minutes. Let her
Right.
be
Yeah.
around. That's the other thing that would factor my score. So
What about
without
you,
giving
Knight?
a deeper thought, that's my answer for now.
Yeah. Okay, Knight. What do you think? What ending would bring it down from you? You know,
I
from
think-
a 7 to 4.
Well, I think it's all about, and I'm going to be echoing Steven. I think it's just how they do it, because we know it's going to be one of a couple of options. Either Michael dies or Laurie dies and Michael lives, or they both die or whatever. If it's executed the right way, then I can still stay at a 7. If they killed Laurie like they killed Sally, yeah, that's going down to a 4. I do not. I'm gonna say this again. I'm going out on a limb, but I do not seeing them disrespect Laurie Strode and Jamie Lee Curtis like that. If nothing else, I think they're gonna at least show respect to Laurie Strode. I think they've shown that they do give a damn about this mythology, about the franchise and these characters. But you never know until you see stuff. So they'd really have to do some careless character things at the end for it to take me down to a lower score. I'm not really invested either way as far as the who's dying and living, because I'm kind of prepared for any of it as long as it's done correctly, and I'm hopeful that it will be. I'm hopeful that it will be.
Execution is everything.
It is. We say that all the time on this
We do.
on our channels, man.
We got to get a
execution.
T-shirt. We got a T-shirt for
We
it.
should. Execution is everything. That's a great shirt to have.
It is. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite phrases. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like the phrase of Scream 5 for me, like execution.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what the end result will be. Like I said, I'm not I enjoyed 18. I didn't really like kills. I think that Ends has a lot of potential to go either way. I think it has a lot of potential to be the best of the 3, or could even be the worst of the 3. Just
It could be the worst of the 3.
It could.
I'll give you some examples right now. Return of the Jedi, to me easily was the least of the original Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
The Godfather 3, Part 3.
Yeah.
So it
Relax,
definitely could
Mickey.
be. It's hard to stick that landing. Green Gay is saying Halloween is a tired franchise. Not according to the box office.
No, I don't think so.
Not according to the
Now,
box office.
it's okay if you're tired of it. I mean, that's fine.
True.
But no, I don't think the general horror public is tired of it.
Well, I think
Do you
that
think?
Anna, go ahead.
That's actually a good. Okay. To kind of add to his thing, because I think it's just the way that he phrased it. Is it more that is the success more the curiosity or the actual fandom of the character at this point? Because with so many films and so on and so forth, you got to imagine that part of that is just the curiosity of what are they going to do, rather than like, I am a diehard fan. I'd really like to know the difference and see that comparison.
You mean for Halloween, you think that it's more curiosity than diehard fandom?
Yes, and not entirely, Obviously, I mean, there's people like most of us that see the movie for that. But like, great example, like I just did not like Halloween Kills at all.
Yeah.
Really? No. Really?
You can't just disappear and pop back in and interrupt me.
You forgot? You didn't like it?
Let me say this though. I think what's funny about the franchise, and me and Steven, we talked about this on your channel, is this is a legacy franchise.
Yep.
And it comes back with 2018 after very divisive sequels.
Yeah.
True.
You had and again, the Rob Zombie stuff, that's another story for another day. But especially with his second movie, there are a lot of people that were just like, what the hell's going on? And so the franchise was kind of, to the side, and
Yeah.
so when you come out with 2018 and it was actually good, I mean, most people thought it was at least decent,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah.
that kind of revived it as a franchise. So, I think that it does have a pretty strong fandom. I don't think it's, the same as like Scream, but I think
Right.
it has a pretty good fandom, and it's a legacy franchise for that time of the year, for that season.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
like a great example were like the Paranormal Activities. Like every year, it's Saw movies. Every year at the same time, almost the same date. You got one of those movies, and most of them were terrible, but you still went and it was almost like a tradition. And
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
true.
I feel like Halloween at this point might be that way a lot. And here's the thing: that doesn't mean that you don't enjoy those movies, like because there are later Saw films that I enjoyed, or Paranormal Activity
Yeah.
movies I enjoyed, stuff like that.
Mhm.
But I think initially, like when 18 was announced, I don't think it was so much the diehard fandom, like we need to go see this movie, and it did, 300 million at the box office, and I think it was a lot of that was intrigue. And I think that that's kind of the case. And I've said
Maybe.
that too. I've said that too, even about Scream. Like I made a video talking about it in one of my live streams where I said we're gonna get a trilogy for this Scream film because they made Scream 6. Even if Scream 6 is terrible, they'll probably still make a Scream 7 because Scream 6 is gonna do well in the box office. But Scream 7, even if 6 is terrible, you're gonna have the curiosity of how is the story going to end.
Well, they're going to
Yeah.
want to see Stu Macher be revealed finally in 7 to finish the trilogy. So they
And
will
then
be
Craven-
back.
Boy.
And then Craven woke up. But
No.
to
And then
actually
Fate went,
have-
there
No.
we go, baby.
No, it wasn't somebody in the chat.
The Stu train. Let's go.
But
Come on,
that was
guys.
him. But yeah, no, but like a great example is like I said, like with the Halloween Ends. I did not like Halloween Kills, but my curiosity, I'm going to go watch Halloween Ends because I want to see how they're going to conclude this story. I liked 18. I didn't like Kills, but I'm curious to see how Halloween Ends is going to see. Now, am I going to go rush to the box office? No, but most people don't. Usually the people that are rushing to the box office are people that either just die hard for movies, period, or they're die hard for the fans. I went and saw Scream as soon as it was available in theaters because I'm die hard for the franchise. I'm a die hard fan. And that's kind of how I feel about it. But I don't know. I think part of it has to do with the curiosity factor at this point. Like with Rob Zombie, like a lot of that I think was curious. Like, how is Rob Zombie going to go about this movie, about this
Right.
franchise? And then you get, David Gordon Green and what's his name? Why am I blanking on his
Danny
name?
McBride.
Danny McBride. There we go.
Yeah.
Like, right there. Those are two people that immediately add
Jack.
What's up,
intrigue.
Jack?
What's going on, Jack?
Jack's got his Stu train ticket. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry it's going to crash, Jack. It's unfortunate. But
No, it's insured.
You
It's
have-
insured.
you-
We're good.
that doesn't mean you're all going to die.
Progressive insurance.
No, that's insured.
I'll make sure to call insurance when you guys are all on
Yep.
the side of the ditch.
No refunds, brother.
But yeah, I you made me lose my train of thought.
Nah, it worked, Knight. It worked.
My point was is I think that there is a level of intrigue, and I
Green
think
Gate
that
stormed out of
that
the
plays into
Oh.
this. I think that plays into this as a
Wow.
whole.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
was so bad the ending wasn't something that stormed out of the
Dang,
theater.
that was.
I get it, Green Gaze. It was terrible. It was trash.
Nah, it was,
Oh,
I wasn't
you
a big
guys. It was
fan of the
total-
whole, the whole Karen window scene. I was not a big fan of that scene. I've been open
Right.
about that, but that was a fantastic movie. I'm sorry, I don't care if anybody says that. I
Again,
love that
guys,
movie.
It's
I
a
loved
horror
it.
movie. A
I mean, come
slasher
on.
horror movie from a 50-year-old franchise. I mean,
Yeah.
come on, guys.
Yeah,
And
The fact
it
that-
aged like milk.
it's even being made.
Stop. You know what, Fate?
Fate.
Seriously though, I mean, look, and this will be the last thing I say about it because we always get on these tangents. But seriously, when you talk about a 12th movie in a 50-year-old franchise, come on, man, you got to admit that's
Yeah.
come on, they did some decent things.
Yep.
I said that there were moments in Halloween Kills, but overall the movie sucked. Like there were like you can find a turd in shit some,
All
or
right.
a diamond in shit sometimes, but
Dang.
it depends on what the dog ate.
I mean, I guess, Fate, you haven't seen Busta Rhymes in a while. You haven't watched. Maybe you need to watch Halloween Resurrection. Watch zombies movies.
Just because
and
one
then come
movie's
back
bad,
and
just
watch
because
it.
one movie's bad doesn't mean another one can't be. Like you can't.
Well, no, I'm just saying it gives you
But this is
perspective.
much better than those.
Yes.
I've never once said it was Resurrection. I have never said that.
No, I know that.
I've given it credit. It just wasn't
A little.
like, as far as the franchise. It's not up there as some of the better franchise movies in the franchise. I think that I put H2O ahead of this. I
liked H2O.
Yeah,
I
I
liked
put
H2O
H2O
as well.
ahead of Kills. I
But-
put 18 ahead of Kills. I
But
put 4 ahead of Kills. I put the original ahead of Kills. I'd
Yes.
even put. So you're talking Halloween Kills is like 6th or 7th in the franchise.
But that doesn't
I
make
don't-
it bad, even if it was.
right, even
But
if it was.
it
That's
wasn't a good-
halfway.
it
That's the middle of
wasn't
the pack.
But it was still a bad. Yes, but that's not.
I mean, for you, it's middle of the pack. I'm not saying that. I think it's one
Yeah,
of the top
me
4
neither.
sequels.
You just
I liked
agreed.
them, and
You
it
just
wasn't
agreed
number
with
6
me
for
that
me.
it's numbered that you would put all
no,
the same ones ahead.
no. I said if you were, but I said
No,
if you're
but
saying
I'm
it.
saying Knight just said I agree with you on all those.
Well, I agree
and
with
then
you with the
just said-
original. No, I
See,
agree
you
with
guys,
you with
you
the
guys can't
original.
even keep track of your own arguments.
Listen,
No,
I said I
no.
agree with you with the original and 4. I don't agree with H2O because to me H2O, even though I enjoyed it, I think H2O had a lot of Scream tendencies, which isn't in the
It did.
same, which is a different mythology, and so I had an issue with that. And Michael didn't even really kill a lot in that movie. I love Jamie Lee Curtis in it,
Yes,
but
he was
there
great.
I had issues with H2O, especially watching it now. When I was a kid, yeah, I loved it because it was a Halloween movie and I was able to watch an R-rated movie and all that type of stuff. But I think for me, I can't remember exactly. I did a video on it, but I think I had Kills like in 4th in the
See,
franchise.
that seems more like where I would rank it.
Yeah.
It's
I
the
did-
top 5.
Yeah, I didn't put it above 2018. I know that because I think 2018 is a better movie, overall. But Kills definitely wasn't like 6th or higher or lower for me. So
Yeah. Well, do you know that on H2O, I have to mention this real quick. You know how you said it has a Scream feel to it?
Kevin,
And Kevin Williamson came in to do the writing on that movie.
right?
And so that's something that I hardly hear anyone talking about. Like,
and the musical.
I
score.
did
and the
on my
music was
video.
well, no, you do, Nye, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, the music, Fate. You're right, Marco Beltrami. They pulled his music in. Some of the same scores
Yes.
from Scream.
Exactly.
The
Yes.
same exact scores
Yeah.
are in Halloween
That-
H2O.
That iconic scene when Michael is chasing oh God, what's her name from that TV show? The blonde and
Oh yes, I know you're talking
Josh
about
Hartnett.
Josh Hartnett.
And
Yeah.
he gets to the gate right before he comes up to the door and faces
Mhm.
Laurie through the
Yes.
thing, which was iconic. That music was
Was.
from Scream.
It
And
was.
not only that, but when Michael couldn't get through the gate, you know what Michael Myers was doing to those kids? He was doing the slash thing. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
Ghostface's move. So like,
That's
this-
right. That's right.
Right?
Yes. It's
Everyone
so
here,
true.
you got to check out my H2O video
Yes.
because we went deep into that. But all that being said, I still enjoyed H2O.
Oh, I
for
did
what it
too.
was. But I didn't rank it higher than Kills. So
I would not rank it higher than Kills either. No, I agree.
mic drop.
I mean,
Yeah.
we can all have bad decisions.
Stop it. I love
I'm
I saw his mind working about his
I
comeback.
know.
He's like, we could all have bad choices.
Oh,
Believe it.
dang.
Not everyone has a perfect list all the time.
I love you, man.
I
And
know.
H2O, Green Gaze is right. H2O had a CGI mask too. That was ridiculous.
That I don't understand why.
I
It's
don't
just
understand
not.
why they did it.
It's not
They were lazy.
necessary. Yeah,
They
I mean,
were lazy.
it was the Weinsteins again. Remember, it's the
Yes.
Weinsteins. So
Yeah. Well, they couldn't get the mask to look the way they wanted it to, and they cut the eye holes
Yeah.
too big and this and that. It's
Yeah.
like, good God,
Yeah.
people. Is it that difficult to make a good mask? At least Rob
Seriously.
Zombie got a decent mask.
He did.
yeah, he did.
And these two
did.
movies, and obviously Ends, you're gonna have a
Yeah.
good mask. And
Yep.
again, attention to details. Do you really give a damn about what you're doing? And I think
Mm-hmm. Right.
that these movies are at least showing that they actually, and even David Gordon Green said he was painstakingly trying to make sure every shot of Michael Myers was in the right lighting to make the mask look right, because it's very hard to make it look
Yes.
right. So again,
Yep.
versus Halloween 5, when the director hadn't even seen a Halloween movie and he was just winging it and almost killed
Gosh.
what's her name, the girl that played Tina, almost killed
Yeah,
her
almost killed her.
because his directing
Wow.
skills were not up to par. I mean, I'm just saying,
Terrible.
guys,
Yeah.
this is where the franchise has been. So don't forget the past is all I'm saying.
Tina!
Last question, and we'll wrap it up.
Wait, for God's sake, stop her!
Where do you guys rank? Where do you guys put, or I guess not even rank? Like, what are your overall thoughts on Rob Zombie's Halloween? Like, I don't
I'm
think
sorry.
that's something that you guys have ever really talked about.
The
Hold on.
first,
This comment, bro. We got to stop for a second. Come on now. You're saying Texas Chainsaw Massacre is better than Scream 5? Is that what that's
Ooh.
saying?
I maybe.
Whoa. Okay.
I didn't even read it when I put it up there.
I mean, okay.
Well, we are
That-
talking about Halloween. Maybe he's talking about Halloween.
Maybe it's about Halloween. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
maybe.
It's
Which
gotta
either way,
be,
you're
right?
wrong. But you know,
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But-
sorry.
Anyway,
Go
what
ahead.
are your thoughts on the Rob Zombie Halloween? Like, are you fans of them? Are you not? Because people either are really divided on that. There's people that absolutely think that they were some of the best in the entire franchise, and then there's the other side that are like they're the worst movies in the franchise. So where do you guys lie?
I'll let you go first, Steven.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be on the latter side. I think they're trash. I don't like them. I think the whole showing Michael growing up with the trash parents, mom, that whole thing is just it's Rob Zombie. It's what he does. We know that. I didn't like that. I'm like, seeing Michael grow up, seeing the whole thing where he's killing the animals, the whole typical serial killer kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I was like, that's just ruining the whole mythology of this guy. I don't want to see all of this. I want the boogeyman to be the boogeyman. I want the mystery to be there. And so I didn't like that. I didn't like the vile, just the crude nature of Halloween, of his movies, which he does. Again, that's how he does things. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, just with all of the crudeness to be crude and for shock factor, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. I was not a fan of either one of those movies. I'll never watch them again. And I think The Mask was the only thing that I liked out of those two movies. So I'm going to be probably far on the wall on this other side because I'm not really even in the middle. I didn't like them at all. I can't stand those movies. I'll never watch them again. I thought they were unnecessary, and I thought they took the mythology of this amazing character and it didn't ruin it for me, but it tarnished it for me. I didn't like it. So that's it, man.
What about you?
What about you, Fate? Well,
Me?
Yeah, you. I'll let you go first. I don't want to get too long-winded about it.
It had elements that were okay. Overall, I don't think that they were great. I mean, I think that there are far worse films in the franchise than the Rob Zombie ones. Like, I wouldn't rank it at the very bottom, but I wouldn't rank it near the top either. I think that they weren't. I wouldn't even say good. They were one of those movies you watch once and you go, okay, that was cool. Like,
one and done.
like, yeah, you watch it, you don't hate it, you don't love it. Yeah, you kind of just are like, I don't regret that I watched it, but it's not something that like I'm watching again. Like, that's kind of how I felt about it. Which is kind of how I felt about Halloween Kills. I mean, I don't mean that as like a jab. I do. Like, I'm glad I watched Halloween Kills, but like, it's not a movie that like I'm dying to see again. I probably will watch it again just because we talk about it so much and stuff. So it might be good to kind of refresh on it, see if maybe my opinion changes. But I mean, I've seen it twice, so I don't think it's gonna change. But yeah, that's just kind of where I feel. I don't think it's great, but I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's one of the worst. I don't think it's the worst in the franchise. But yeah, you could put it there. The first one, I didn't really like the backstory either. But I thought Rob Zombie's first one was better than the second overall, and I thought the first film was one of the better films in the franchise.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say is I'm of two minds on it. First of all, I think that his take on it, he wanted to do something different than John Carpenter. So
Yeah, and I respect that.
Right, I get that, and of course, you're not gonna outdo John Carpenter. So I understand why he
Yeah.
went in a different direction. But I don't like the 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 mythology I like in John Carpenter's version better, no doubt,
100%.
100%.
100%.
Okay, but for what Rob Zombie did, trying to do something totally different, yeah, there was some interesting things in it as a horror movie, as a slasher film, not necessarily as a Michael Myers, The Shape, the Boogeyman film, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not a movie that I revisit quite often. The last time I watched it was when I did a review on it, and before that it was quite a few years.
It's almost
It
its own
has
thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it has its moments just as a horror film, as a slasher film. Yes, it has some nice moments in it that you could enjoy as a horror fan. Um, but part two totally went down the tubes, and as far as going way too far off the rails. And again, we talked about it. He went full Rob Zombie with his Halloween 2.
Yep.
He opened the gates. I mean, I'm talking about just the vulgarness, the crudeness, and it's like, to me, that doesn't match up well with the Halloween franchise. You know what I'm saying? The Halloween franchise, to me, the mythology, they don't mix with what he was trying to do. Again, I understand he was trying to do something different, and that's, it is what it is. But for me, they weren't great Halloween movies, although, like you said, Fate, they're not, for me anyways, in my ranking, the ranking I did, they weren't the worst in the, well, I don't want to give it away. One of them was, one of them was, but one of them wasn't. They were all,
Yeah.
both of them were down on the list, but one was the worst and one wasn't, but was still pretty far down there. They were well-made movies, but they weren't good Halloween movies.
You even put Resurrection above number 2?
No, I don't think I did. I can't remember. I'd have to look at because
Is
that was difficult.
Is Resurrection the worst movie in the franchise?
So I will say, generally speaking, I say it is. And
Yeah, I think I did put it there.
It's hard to not make it the worst. I mean, I'm tempted to go Zombie 2 as the worst, then Resurrection, but it's so hard for me to say that because I can't stand either one of those movies. And I think, but I don't know I mean, from the mythology perspective, at least with Resurrection,
Yeah.
that was kind of intact from the previous movies. Whereas Zombie, we just, like you mentioned, he just broke it, went a whole other way. So that's the one thing that may push me to move 2 to my last ranking and move Resurrection up one spot. I will put Zombie 1 over Resurrection.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
I will too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
will too. Because it's just, again, it's not a great mix with the mythology, but for what he was doing, it was a well-made movie. You explained way too much, just like they
That's
did in
right.
Curse, just like
Way
they did
too
in
much.
Curse of Michael Myers. Again,
Yes.
anytime you try to over-explain these villains, these icons, you're heading down a dark path.
Yeah, you're already.
You should
Yep.
never try to explain them, and you definitely shouldn't over-explain them. So.
Yes, which is why I hope with Halloween Ends, where here we
Right.
are again, where we've come to the edge of the cliff, and are we going to fall over or are we going to hold on? And that's where we're at with this last movie, because David Gordon Green's either going to shove us off the cliff,
Yes.
or he's going to hold on to us and keep us safe and have a good ending. So
An MTV movie.
we shall see.
Green Gaze is a fan of Curse of Michael Myers. It was so good.
Oh.
There's a lot of people that love the Thorn trilogy.
I mean, it was interesting to me. I mean, I will say that.
Yeah,
I
it
just
was
didn't-
interesting.
It was interesting. I just didn't. I just don't like control. When you explain how it's kind of like having a wild. I mentioned on my live stream about Scream. With we have a wild lion. You're trying to tame it. It's gonna get. You can't really effectively do that for real. You might do it for a little bit, and that's what happened. I mean, Michael went ballistic and cursed.
Yep.
Remember at the end, he kills everybody, and then poor Dr. Loomis, bless his heart, He looks down on his wrist. And he's got the dadgum thorn on his arm. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
And that horrible scream he ends the movie with. That scream in the back. It's terrible, man.
And he passed away shortly thereafter
Shortly
filming
after.
that scene. Yeah.
He did. It was.
Rest in peace to Donald Pleasance.
Donald Pleasant.
Yeah, man, for real. Maybe that's another reason why I didn't like that movie now, because it's kind of associated with his death and his whole, like his last performance. All that's kind of tied into that package for me for 6.
Yeah. Yep.
Tina, come on, Knight. She's a 9-year-old girl. Tina,
Yes.
for God's sake, stop her. Come on, man. You can say it better than me. Can you hit me?
Can't do it.
Can you do it? Come on, Knight. Give it to us just once.
Go home. Go home, Michael.
Yes.
She'll be there waiting for you.
Yes. Yes. I love it.
I love it, man.
Man,
Oh, Lord.
we got to have I know we've done a lot of Halloween talk lately, but we should have a whole 2-hour session with Jake and all of us on there just talking about the franchise, not even like one movie. Like,
Yes.
what are your highlights?
Agreed.
What's your favorite
Yeah,
moments?
just talk about the
just your favorite scenes from any movie of the franchise.
Oh, I'm so ready for that. That's yeah.
That would be
It's not a
fun.
bad idea at all. Talk.
Yeah.
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 And we could do it for Scream too. I mean, we've got 5 movies now.
Anything to get off of the stew nonsense. I mean,
Well, now, Stu, baby, that train is fueling up. I have guys coming every day polishing that train. It's getting fueled. It's getting clean. Because it's coming. It's a matter of time. It's coming though. So be ready.
Hopefully it doesn't explode by the time they get there.
Oh no, but it will be on fire, baby. I'll tell you that.
You guys are too funny, man.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we're gonna get ready to end this thing up. This was fun.
Fun.
For you guys in the chat, thanks so much for hanging out with us. We always appreciate it, and we were very excited to get some of your comments and questions answered. So please give the video a like. That would help us out. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the Lethal Collective. Pass on the word to people on your social media.
Yes,
And
please.
we would definitely appreciate that. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about TCM. Did you see it? What were your favorite kills? What'd you think of the characters? What'd you think of the stinger at the end? The bus scene? Let us know. And we will be catching you guys on Monday with our live Q&A.
That's right.
Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Have your questions ready.
Absolutely.
Yes. Have your questions ready. We will be. You guys will control the show. So
That's
we're ready
right.
for you. We'll be ready for
All
you.
right. So we will catch you guys later. And the collective has spoken. Peace out.
Peace.
See
See
you
you
later.
guys.
Later.